3, 2, 1.
The most powerful rocket on the planet costs $4 billion to build. It burns through 730 tons of fuel in 8 minutes, then crashes into the ocean. Gone. NASA has spent over $100 billion building this system, and the first crewed mission to the moon in 54 years, it didn't land. It flew around the moon and came back. Before you call that a failure or a waste, you need to understand 7 things. 7 reasons that nobody is telling you, because once you see them, you'll understand why going to the moon is harder and more expensive than it has ever been. $100 billion. That is the number the NASA Inspector General has put on the Artemis program from 2012 to 2026. 14 years. But for what? 23 to 27 billion for the rocket, SLS, built by Boeing. 20 billion for the spacecraft, Orion, built by Lockheed Martin. 5 to 7 billion for launch infrastructure. 7 to 10 billion for the lander, SpaceX and Blue Origin, neither ready. And 20 to 30 billion in research, management, and salaries. Every launch costs $4.1 billion, the entire annual healthcare budget of a city of 500,000 people, for one button press. But here is the other side. 100 billion divided by 330 million Americans is $300 per person over 14 years. 2 restaurant meals for a new rocket, a new spacecraft, a new launch pad, and a decade of deep space research. So the question is not whether 100 billion is big. It is. The question is, why is it this big? The answer is not in Houston. The answer is in Washington. 2010, the space shuttle retires. Tens of thousands of engineers are about to lose their jobs, and Congress does something unusual. Instead of asking NASA to build the best rocket, it tells NASA which rocket to build, using shuttle engines, shuttle boosters, and shuttle factories to keep jobs in Alabama, Louisiana, and Florida. The space community calls it the Senate Launch System. Then there is the contract. Boeing builds SLS under cost plus. NASA pays every dollar Boeing spends plus profit. Think of hiring a plumber by the hour with no cap. The slower they work, the more you pay. Boeing's core stage went $8 billion over budget. Under cost plus, Boeing got paid for every cent and earned profit on top. Compare that to SpaceX, fixed price. NASA pays one amount. If SpaceX goes over, SpaceX eats the loss. 2 contracts, 2 incentive structures, 2 completely different results. And the engines. The RS-25 was designed to fly 55 times. Congress put them on SLS, a rocket that flies once. Each engine costs $146 million to manufacture, 4 per rocket. $584 million in engines thrown away. Every single launch. The most reliable engine in spaceflight history, wasted by design. SLS, $152,000 per kilogram to the moon. Starship's target, $67 per kilogram to orbit. Not even the same universe. But the RS-25 has carried 355 astronauts with 0 engine failures. Starship has never carried one. And those engineers Congress is protecting? They are the only people on Earth who can hand-build a deep space rocket engine. Lose them, and that knowledge may never come back. That is why it costs $4 billion. But cost is only half the story. Why didn't it land? 7 reasons. And reason number 3 will change everything. You are watching The Cosmic Rush, where we go deeper than the headlines. Subscribe, because these 7 reasons are the ones nobody else is covering. 7 reasons, stacked on top of each other. Remove any one, and it still couldn't land. Layer 1, design. Reason 1, Orion is not a lander. No landing legs, no descent engine. It is a taxi. Reason 2. The lander does not exist yet. SpaceX Starship HLS and Blue Origin Blue Moon are both still in development, neither tested with crew. Layer 2. Physics. Reason 3. The service module carries 8.6 tons of propellant. After the translunar injection and safety margins, there is not enough delta V to enter lunar orbit and escape it. 1,600 meters per second short. This is not politics. This is not budget. This is physics. Physics does not negotiate. Reason 4. The free return trajectory is the only safety net. Flyby, gravity brings you home automatically, even if every engine fails. Enter orbit, you need a burn to leave. Fail that burn, and you are stranded 400,000 kilometers from help. On the first crewed flight, NASA would not accept that risk. Layer 3. Safety. Reason 5. The heat shield cracked and peeled on Artemis I. NASA changed the re-entry angle. That new trajectory has never been tested with humans. Artemis II is the test. Reason 6. The moonwalk suit, the AX-EMU, is still being tested. No suit means no surface activity, even if everything else were ready. Layer 4. Strategy. Reason 7. In 1968, Apollo 8 flew around the moon without landing. Nobody called it a failure. 2 missions later, Apollo 11 landed. Same playbook. 7 layers, all active, all at once. December 1968. 3 astronauts strap into a capsule on top of the most powerful rocket ever built. Their mission? Fly to the moon, orbit it 10 times, and come home. No landing, no moonwalk, just go there and come back alive. That was Apollo 8, and it changed everything. Not because it landed, but because it proved that humans could survive the journey. The navigation worked, the heat shield worked, the human body survived. 3 months later, Apollo 9 tested the lunar module in Earth orbit. 2 months after that, Apollo 10 flew the module to within 9 miles of the surface. 2 months after that, Apollo 11 landed. 7 months, 4 missions, from first flyby to first footprint. Now, Artemis. Same logic, different speed. Artemis II, April 2026, flyby. Testing Orion with crew. Testing life support. Testing the heat shield on a new trajectory. Done. Artemis III. And here is something most people do not know yet. Originally, Artemis III was supposed to be the landing, the first boots on the moon since 1972. That has changed. In February 2026, NASA announced a major restructure. Artemis III is now a docking test in Earth orbit, meeting the lander, testing the connection, verifying the systems. The first landing has been pushed to Artemis IV, early 2028. Artemis V, late 2028. After that, 1 landing per year, if everything holds. Compare the timelines. Apollo, 7 months from flyby to landing. Artemis, about 24 months, 3.4 times slower. But Apollo had a president who bet his legacy on a deadline, a Cold War that made failure unacceptable, and a Congress that wrote blank checks instead of audit reports. Artemis has none of that. It has budget hearings, inspector general reviews, and social media judging every delay in real time. Same playbook, different era, different price. Which brings us to the only question left. Is $100 billion worth it? This video is not here to tell you what to think. It is here to give you the data so you can decide for yourself. Same number, 2 lenses, 2 very different conclusions. The cost, $4.1 billion for a rocket you throw away, while private companies build reusable systems for a fraction of the price. A program years behind schedule and billions over budget. Robotic missions, like Mars rovers, do more science per dollar than any human flight. And the simplest argument of all, we already went. 1969, we planted the flag. Why do it again? The investment, $100 billion over 14 years, divided by 330 million Americans, is $300 per person, 2 restaurant meals. For that, the country got a new rocket, a new spacecraft, a new launch pad, a new generation of engineers, and the foundation for a permanent human presence on the moon. This is not flags and footprints. The goal is a permanent base, water mining, fuel production, a launch pad to Mars. And if the United States does not build it, someone else will. China's lunar program is not slowing down. This is not just exploration, it is positioning. Both arguments have weight. Both use real data. The difference is what you believe the moon is worth in the long run. $4 billion. One launch crashes into the ocean. That is what you see. But here's what you do not see. That 10-day mission, 860,000 kilometers, tested a heat shield on a trajectory never tried with humans, life support designed for deep space, laser comms at 260 megabits per second, manual piloting at 9 meters distance, and a European service module carrying crew for the first time. $100 billion did not buy a trip to the moon. It bought the road. Whether that road was worth the price is the question Artemis IV will answer in 2028. This is not waste. This is not efficiency either. This is the price when an entire political system decides how to go to the moon. Now, one thing people will say, SpaceX does it cheaper. True, but Starship has carried 0 humans into space. 0. The RS-25 has carried 355. Compare what exists, not what is promised. And Artemis only flew around? So did Apollo 8 in 1968. Nobody called that a failure. It was step 1 of 4. Artemis II is step 2 of 4. Same ladder, different century. But there is one more question. Apollo ended in 1972. Artemis II launched in 2026. 54 years. What happened in between? Why did the most powerful spacefaring nation on Earth stop? That story is next. The Cosmic Rush. We don't tell you what is happening, we explain why.